We are back. Episode 5, week 13 in the books. We're into championship week, fellas. This is big. This is a big one. We got some shakeup in the rankings. Big games happened. Number one, obviously, the game happened. I was back home. I got tailgate with Stu. Good times out there in Ann Arbor. And Michigan pulls off the win. They're at 2 right now. Other games happened, implications. Was there any other big games that I'm missing that really meant anything? Obviously, all the big games are going to be happening this week.
There were some crazy ones, man.
Alabama, Auburn, obviously.
Alabama, Auburn was huge.
Even Oklahoma State, BYU, even.
Right, crazy one.
Oklahoma State had to come back. Like, I thought for a minute BYU had that wrapped up.
You could say not a lot of implications, but Louisville losing to Kentucky.
Right, huge one, exactly. Their little percent chance is now cooked for sure. FSU pulls it off against Georgia. Now they're all just coming to me as we speak. But yeah, no, there was a lot of great games. Even Georgia Tech. I know. I think the end score was pretty far out, but like that was still even close. Yeah, I would say it was in Atlanta, and that was a close game too. We were watching that bunch in between. But yeah, going back to Oklahoma State, they're going to the Big 12 championship to play Texas. Texas steamrolled Texas Tech and DKR here in Austin. So that I think it was 57-7. Arch Manning, he got a few first snaps. I think he threw for 30 yards. There we go. Wow. Yeah,
he had a couple nice runs.
Little runs too. He almost scored.
Yeah, he ran for a first.
He looked good out there. So
he looked all right too.
Yeah, the Texas faithful obviously were excited to see him because that was the first time he's touched the field.
Well, he's good. When I saw him, he might win a Heisman.
What's the play style?
It just works. It fits.
He's a
18-year-old kid.
Yeah. Like 30 yards too. I don't know. He's got some wheels. He was flying a little bit.
That's the first opening he had. He was like, yeah, I'm going. Which I don't blame him whatsoever.
I was going to say he's like somewhere in between, and this is no disrespect to him, like a NFL comp. I'm thinking NFL players. He's like he remind me kind of like a Josh Allen, Danny Dimes in between.
Oh, God.
Is that fair? I don't know. He's got we only saw him run. Legit a quarter of the way.
I mean, Eli Manning maybe a little bit though.
He was mobile. He was mobile.
Yeah.
They both are kind of mobile.
No Eli. No.
Yeah, he was looking good though. It was good to see him out there because everybody's been like, oh, he's gonna, And then Malik, he got banged up right away. So I mean, I think he's in the transfer portal right away. I think the writing's on the wall, especially if Quinn comes. But moving on from Texas, they're gonna be in the Big 12 championship playing against Oklahoma State. That's a game that I didn't get to watch a lot of. I know that went to overtime in Stillwater. I was going to see Napoleon. Underwhelming movie. Was not happy with that movie.
Disappointed.
Disappointed. We was disappointed with that. Joaquin Phoenix. I watched it with Pops. We were at home. It wasn't good. We didn't even stick for the whole movie. We wanted to watch football instead. So I didn't get to watch the end, so I can't really speak on everything. First hour and a half, I've never walked out of a movie. We wanted to watch football instead, though. It's one of those things. So I'm home. Let's go watch football. This is not worth our time for me. It's almost a 3-hour movie. It was one of those things. Let's just get out of here. Only so much to do in Saline, Michigan. Let's be honest. You go to Imagine. Let's call it.
Imagine's the site to see.
That's the site to see. So we were out of there pretty quick. But when I was going to the movie theater, I bring that up because Oklahoma State was down 24-6 at halftime against BYU in Stillwater, and they pull it off in overtime. And they will be going. It would have been Oklahoma, Texas. It would have been Red River all over again, which I think for Texas' resume's sake would have helped a little more. But Oklahoma State beat them in Stillwater, referring to Oklahoma, and they get the nod and represent the Big 12. I want to ask you guys this. We'll get more into, obviously, the real stuff. Who's going to be the big – we were asking this on air on Monday. Who's going to be the Big 12 big dog? Now that Oklahoma and Texas are gone, it's a fair question to ask. You're getting Arizona, obviously, Utah – Colorado. Who am I missing there? We're missing another school.
Houston.
Houston's already in there. We got Houston. Arizona State. I think Utah Stu's a good one. I think they have the most culture built there. But like in Oklahoma State, Kansas State, I think those are kind of like, and then maybe even TCU with Sonny Dykes. They're not great this year, but it's kind of interesting. I don't think there's any defined. Probably Utah. Like they've just been so good for so long. Very like 9.
I like Arizona too. I like Arizona.
Jed Fish has got them, obviously ranked very high in 9 wins.
True freshman.
Yeah, exactly. A former Dax dog.
No Fafita.
Yeah, no Fafita. Hey, hell of a
former Dax dog. Could be a future Dax dog.
Could be a future Dax dog.
He's a Dax dog.
But he's a Dax. Yeah, exactly. He's only a freshman too, man. He could start stockpiling the Dax dogs like Michael
Not even
Scott's
redshirt
Dundies,
either.
man. Like, he could certainly start piling those suckers up. We'll start sending him the trophies. He's got
Be
a
a
couple of years in
4-year
the Big 12. Yeah,
4-year Dax dog, man. If he gets to year 4 and he's still in college and still a Dax dog, we gotta back up the Brinks truck, bro, to get him on the pod or something.
We'll make
I
him
think we'll be able to. We're
plate
gonna have
of
some
gold.
Yeah, I would say shout out to the listeners, the good listeners out there.
Shout out Michael.
Shout out Michael. Yeah, shout out Michael, a true listener, listens to the whole show. Michael's Buckeye, and we got something to say.
Ryan Day pick.
Hey, we got something to say about that game specifically later on. I think Michael's going to be more on my side than not with this one. But moving back to this.
Oh wait, yeah. Big 12 though. Big 12, like you said.
We'll move off, but who is it? Is it Utah? I think you're right there. I think Utah is going to be the number 1 team.
I think it's going to be Utah because I don't expect TCU to repeat anything of what they did last year.
No,
they certainly didn't this year. What is Colorado going to be? I don't know, man.
Better. I think they'll be better.
They'll be better, but it's concerning. They keep losing a lot of commits. I always say this, like college football fans are extremely emotional. Arizona is balling right now, and everyone's like, give Jetfish the bag, and they're going to. I think that's the plan. If it wasn't announced today, I think it's supposed to be announced this week. It could so easily fall off a cliff next year or the year following, where like all of those teams, Baylor's keeping Dave Aranda, which is maybe a bold choice. I still like him. He's an LSU guy, but it's strange. It's strange. So I would have thought like, hey, Baylor's in that situation to take over. But most likely, man, it's probably going to be Utah. Spot on. Like that's who it's going to be.
I think you're right there. Yeah,
they did it to the Pac-12 for a couple of years, which I don't think anybody saw coming. And the Big 12 is honestly worse at this point. So
especially with Cam Rising coming back, if he's not
for his 7th year, he's almost. I think he's our age. I think he's legit your age, Dak. Legit.
So he's coming back and he's not transferring, right?
I don't know if he started off. He doesn't have to.
I don't know if he's transferring or not. Yeah,
I think he is. I think he's staying at Utah. He's allowed to stay at Utah because there's a COVID year, an injured year, and he started off at Texas. He can be there for one more year.
I think he was. I think he came in 2018. I think he was 2018 class. I was 17, but I think he was 18. He would have been 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24.
No, it's his 7th year. It was his 7th year. So
it's going
to be crazy. Yeah, him there. I think you're right, Stu. I think that's spot on with Utah. Probably is going to be the favorite to win it.
They'll probably be the favorite. Arizona, they'll probably be like the wild card or the dark horse. Same with like Colorado, like you guys were saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. My dad was calling and the phone just fell. Heck yeah.
Hey, ask him SEC.
Shout out, how are you?
SEC.
Was that Stu? Stu's got a question for you.
Ask Pop's SEC championship prediction.
SEC championship. Who you got, Pop?
Okay,
live on the pod. Hold on. Let me put you on speaker. Hold on. We got a Pops call here. What do you got, Pops? SEC championship. Who you liking? Georgia.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. You heard it. There we go.
Michigan wins.
Yeah, give us your 4. What's your 4? Georgia, Michigan, who else?
Washington loses. Florida State loses. And Oregon goes to 3. And Texas goes to 4.
He's a Christ if there ever was one. That's why I picked last week, Dad.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, love you. I'll talk to you later.
Man, right there.
Go Oral. Thank you, Dad. I'll talk to you later.
Peace out, Mr. Christ.
They say bye. All right, there we go. That's hilarious. Yeah, no, there you go. Hey, non-prompted. He just got the same Final Four as me.
Yeah,
there you go.
Hey, go Oral Roberts, baby.
That makes the most sense.
Sorry, guys.
We're moving
all right, yeah. Big 12. We touched on Big 12. Let's get past the Big 12. Yeah.
We're done with the Big 12. It was a good question. Thank you. Top 25. Speaking of Kansas State, we start off with 25. Kansas State gets there. Liberty playing in the Conference USA Championship. They will be hosting that in Lynchburg. That's in Virginia. They are 12-0. They will be taking on New Mexico State. Sorry, who just beat Auburn, who almost beat Alabama this week. We'll talk on that game a little bit. But they are 12-0, 10.5-point favorite in that game in the Conference USA Championship against New Mexico State. Clemson at 23. Tulane, they also are playing in a conference championship. They are hosting in New Orleans, SMU, the Mustangs, and they are a 4-point favorite. They just beat Jeff Traylor's. We were watching the game, actually, when I was at home, UTSA to get into that AAC American Conference Championship. That'll be in New Orleans, a home game for Tulane at 11-1, SMU 10-2. Tennessee, again, just a name. That's why they're in there. Let's be honest. Oregon State, good year, but they got smoked by Oregon. Don't remember the score off the top of the head. Not good, though. I just remember it wasn't great. North Carolina State. North Carolina State did smoke. That was my initial pick, and then I pivoted to LSU. But North Carolina State did smoke the fraudulent Tar Heels. We all agreed. Frauds. Did Drake May get hurt, boys? I think Drake May got banged up. Hopefully he's okay.
He got banged up, and then Mac, I think, announced he's coming back next year, even though people wanted
what?
Wait, what?
I think didn't he say he was coming back next year, Mac Brown?
There's no way.
No.
I think
There's no way. Yeah, get the typing going. There's no way. That kid's going to go for me overall.
Get the
The
typewriter.
kid's a Patriot soon to be.
Drake May, Mac Brown addresses future.
No, not
This
Drake
is-
May. Not Drake May coming back. Mac Brown coming back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. No, yeah.
That's I was talking about. I thought you were talking about Drake May. I'm like, why? For what?
No.
Wait, I cut out. What'd you say?
He said it was Mac Brown's coming back, not Drake May.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That is way different. Yeah, all right. Mac Brown, almost in the coffin, but you know.
I was like,
Mac
you're
Brown.
smoking crack.
Yeah.
No way.
He
Drake
was
May
on
back.
crack. Yeah. Okay, that makes way more sense too. Sorry, a little disconnect there.
Okay.
All right.
We were literally talking about Drake May, and you're
Yeah,
like,
I said Drake May got hurt, and he's like, oh, he's coming back. I'm like,
you
what?
said Mac Brown
Well, no,
said he's coming
I
back next year. You said
I
Mac Brown
said-
said
I
he's
said
coming
yeah.
back.
I said, yeah, Drake May got hurt. And then I said also North Carolina fans were pissed because Mac Brown said he's coming back.
You skipped the middle.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's
I
all
didn't hear
right.
that. I did not hear that. Yeah, well, whatever. It's okay.
All right.
We move on. We move on.
Move on.
All right, so Oklahoma State wins in overtime in Stillwater against BYU. They're at 18. They'll be taking on Texas. They are, as of right now, it opened up a little lighter. It was more of like a 12.5, I believe, 12. It is 14.5 now for Texas. That'll be in Jerry World, Dallas, Texas. Notre Dame at 17. No conference, just NBC contract. That's it for them. So they don't play in the conference. They're like half ACC, whatever. Iowa taking on Michigan in the Big Ten Championship. The Hawkeyes are a whopping, 23.5, fellas? I think it was 23.5.
I believe it's 23.5.
Yeah.
23 and a half.
I
This is
received
35.
Yeah, this is not accurate.
No.
No, that 35.
That was the total, Stu.
Over
That's the
under,
total.
over
Yeah.
under.
Yeah, I realized that.
I received a text today that said Iowa, their first half point total, the over-under on it was at 0.5.
Love
and
that.
the over was plus 100. Also, I received a text 5 minutes later that said they took that down. So I don't know if they just pulled it from the site or if it was incorrect. But regardless, it's probably sitting at like 2.5 either way. It's not going to be a lot higher than 0.5.
Yeah, 0.5 is crazy, dude.
I
I
mean,
mean,
but
they're just saying they're not going to score, which I
was
don't think
saying,
they will.
with the over being 35 and a half and Michigan being a 23-point favorite, they're not going to score a lot of points. So that's plain and simple. Arizona sits there. The Cats beat the crap out of Arizona State in the in-state battle there, and they could be, I don't know exactly what bowl game they are, but they're probably in contention depending on what happens. Probably not. I hate to say it. They're probably not a New Year's Six team, right? I don't think LSU is, so they probably won't be, right?
Arizona.
Yeah, they're borderline.
Everything that I've seen, it's like
side.
February 28th. I saw like Alamo Bowl and stuff like that.
A good bowl game, a really great year from Arizona and Jed Fish,
Yeah.
and an impressive season. They went 9-3 this year. So shout out the Wildcats. Really awesome year. We love seeing those teams kind of come out of nowhere like that, because I'm sure their projected win total was probably like 5. Like, let's call it how it is. So
100%. I think they won 5 last year.
yeah, that sounds about right. Louisville, they lose to Kentucky in we're calling it the Bluegrass. It was probably something to do with Bluegrass. It's an in-state game.
Kentucky Bluegrass. We talked about
There
that.
it is. Okay, there it is.
Yeah,
That's the name. Yeah. Okay. That's the name.
Everyone's got it in their yard in Michigan. That's the stuff to have, man. Either that or the Bermuda. I don't know why I know that, but it's a thing.
Yeah. All right. That's grass with Dak. I appreciate that, brother. LSU covers. Shout out the Fighting Tigers. They beat Texas A&M. Touch on this real quick. We've talked about it last week. They do hire Mike Elko from Duke, former defensive coordinator under Jimbo Fisher from 18 to 21. and he gets back there. They were doing the swing,
they did the Colt
chant,
dance.
the Colt dance. It has begun. I listen. I like Mike Elko and what he's done, but I don't know if this is a splash hire I'm really thrilled about. It screams like 8 wins for Texas A&M in the SEC. I don't know about you guys, but
that is what Texas A&M has been.
Yes.
Like I couldn't name you a good hire that Texas A&M had. Their best season.
Well, I don't mind the Jimbo hire. I think it was a good shot.
No, me neither. It just didn't work. Yeah,
it just stopped. I mean, a man who's won a championship.
I think what I like about it, I think, is that like you're not. Do we know like the dollar amount that's going?
I don't know.
Well, it wasn't Jimbo dollars. I know that. I don't know the exact total, but I don't think it was crazy.
You're not throwing a bag, and you're getting a guy that he's going to put out teams that at least they're going to feel the defense. Like they're not going to be getting smoked out here. They're going to be competitive on defense at least. So I think like what you were saying, 8 wins is probably a good number. Especially it depends to like what talent they retain, and then it depends to what they bring in going into the next year. But if it's anything in the years past, then I don't know. We'll see. I don't think it's like I think it's lateral. Like it's one of those wait and see things, But I think 8 is for sure.
Yeah, I just it's gonna be tough now. You got Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC, and Texas as of this year has out recruited them, even though A&M was getting all those recruits. It's going to be tough for them, but I still think A&M is, I like the hire. I don't love it. I like it. It makes sense to me. I think Elko Duke won 7 games this year. Their biggest win would have been against Clemson, who's now number 23. That's a good win for them, but it's not the sexiest. Let's call it how it is.
But I mean, they're a 9-win program. They just desperately want to be an 11, 12-win program.
Right.
But they've never been that. So
yep.
It's whatever.
Yep. So LSU, Jane Daniels still a Heisman hopeful. Yep, Heisman hopeful. We'll see what happens this weekend. That Bo Nix versus Washington Michael Penix game will be interesting to see if that has any implication on the Heisman voting. I think those are the top 2 guys, though, and even Michael Penix might be 3. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think he's kind of.
I do think he's cooked. I think it is legit between Bo and JD at this point.
I agree. If Penix goes for like 505 scores, sure, maybe, but they would take a lot.
OU, I believe they beat TCU. They remain at 12. They do not get in because Oklahoma State beat them head on, and they all had 1 loss in the Big 12. Referring to Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, and Texas. Oklahoma State beats them, even though they get whomped by UCF. Doesn't matter. They're still playing in Dallas against Texas, as I mentioned. Ole Miss at 11. Interesting here. Ole Miss does win the Egg Bowl against Mississippi State, but I believe they moved back from Penn State was behind them, I believe. And Penn State moves up after beating Michigan State in Ford Field, 42-0. Congrats, Penn State. You're going to a New Year's Six bowl game, and that's really what they are. They're about the 10th best team, and I think that's what Penn State will remain to be. James Franklin's going to keep his job for a few more years. We'll see how long that lasts. They are 10th, but I would take everybody in front of them by a landslide. 9.
A landslide.
I'd take Ole Miss against Penn State. I'm sorry. I know Penn State's got a good defense, but I'd still probably take Ole Miss.
I think Penn State really reminds me of like a Shea Patterson Michigan team.
You were saying that earlier, and I think you're pretty spot on there.
And those Michigan teams they're not very good. They're not great.
Pretty mid.
Pretty mid, yeah.
Losing to Felipe Franks in a Peach Bowl mid.
Those Shea Patterson teams were losing to Penn State teams.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Mizzou is 9th. They mollywop, I believe it was Arkansas in Fayetteville. And Mizzou, hey, congrats to Mizzou, 10-2. Only losses being to Georgia and LSU. Great year. I really like what I'm seeing out of those Tigers. It just was a fun year for them. I know, Dak, you've been the Mizzou advocate. That's your SEC East team. And it's going to be cool to see who they play in the New Year's Six bowl game. Now we get to who is actually still alive. It is 8 on. Alabama. That was one of the craziest plays I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. It's legit 4th and goal. I think on 3rd down, they snapped it, and he goes back to about the 30. There's a penalty. So it is 4th and goal on the 31-yard line. They're down 4. You can't – yeah, they can't even kick a field goal to win. There's 40 seconds left or whatever it was, exactly less than a minute. They're down 4. They need a touchdown. It is 4th and goal past the 30-yard line. And Milroe just tosses a seed in the back left end zone and ruins, everyone's day in Auburn, Alabama. Wild game, and they stay alive. But we'll get into like these rankings here and why I think they're still 8th personally. And then Texas, they beat the living shit. Let's just call it how it is. Of Joey McGuire's Texas Tech Red Raiders. Little revenge game for the Longhorns. I got to give them a shout out. They looked great in that game at home. They needed a game like this, guys, where they're going to the Big 12 championship. This is a resume builder for them. They had tough games against Kansas State and TCU, tough stretch there. They beat Iowa State and Ames by 10. That's impressive. But beating a team legit by 50 at home that is going to a bowl game is great. And they lost them last year in Lubbock. So that was huge for Texas. Ohio State. Ooh, sorry. Sorry, dogs. You lose to Michigan. They lose 24. It was 20. Was it 24? 24 to 30? Yeah, 24.
Yeah, 24-30. Yeah.
Thank you. 24-30. No, they were marching, and Michigan was winning the whole game. I'll get into Michigan a little bit more here. It got tied up at one point. Michigan was winning the whole game, other than when it was tied briefly. And Ohio State had a chance to win it. They could have won it by a point, and they don't. They throw a pick at the end there. It was a great game. Awesome game to watch. Exciting. Ohio State's a legit team and still has playoff contentions here, but a lot of things have to happen. Everyone from 8 on besides them has a chance to knock their ticket in if they win their conference championship, in my opinion here, referring to legitimately Bama, Texas, Oregon, FSU, Washington, Michigan. Ohio State has to wait on the sideline to see what happens. So there is life there. And let's just get into it, right? I'll read these off, and we got to get into Ohio State.
Yeah. Read into it. Then we'll
rip them off and let's talk.
Okay, all right, because we do. This is where I'll get a little hot. I'm excited about it. Oregon is at 5. They played Oregon State, beat the living snot out of them. There you go. They're 5th. They bounce Ohio State. FSU survives barely in Gainesville. They beat Florida. They are going to play Louisville in the ACC championship. That's in Charlotte, and they're only a 2.5-point favorite. That'll be a very interesting game. That opens up a spot if they lose, because if they lose, they're out. No question, fellas. They lose, they are out, and one of these next teams will come in. Washington plays Oregon. That'll be in Vegas. Shout out our boy David Ocampo. He will be at the game. Oregon is, though, worth mentioning, a 9.5-point favorite, and that is fascinating to me. I would have thought, fellas, maybe a touchdown, maybe 4.5 on to about 7. I would have thought Oregon's favored. Here, Washington has had some games where you go, what are they doing? They just haven't looked the greatest. They didn't play great against Washington State in the Apple Cup or whatever they call it up there in Washington, but they still are at 3 undefeated, 12-0, competing for a spot in the playoffs. They win, they're in. I think Pac-12, you win, you're in, is how that's going. It's a playoff game. Michigan, 2, they play Iowa, touchdown in a little bit, 23-point favorite. And the Georgia Bulldogs playing Alabama, obviously. The Georgia Bulldogs,
game of the weekend,
yes, are a 5.5-point favorite against Bama in Atlanta. So, yeah, all right, let's get to it. Let's get to it right now, because we had a little controversy. It's gonna be Dakota and I were, obviously not that heated, but we were shouting at each other.
That's the most opposite sides. Like you were 100% opposite.
I texted in. So I was working, and I worked out, and the rankings released, and you guys are, this is bullshit. Oh, this blah 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 blah.
I don't want to see him at 6.
And I said, what happened? What happened? What went on? And Stu texted in, and both of you were talking about Ohio State's at 6. They got Bama and Texas behind them. And I said, what's the issue? I personally didn't understand this. I said on air today, legitimately, I thought Ohio State was going to be 5. I think
5 is crazy. That's a little crazy.
Or whatever. There's 6.
5's crazy.
Okay.
5's crazy.
It's not that crazy.
Just because of Oregon.
Crazy.
Just because of Oregon.
Okay, fine.
I think
all right, whatever. But my mind is in the spot of the committees. I think Oregon is a better team and has showed it. They're the favorite in the Pac-12 championship. So I like the 5 here for Oregon specifically. I'm glad Ohio State got bumped to 6. But I want to hear from you, and then I'll talk, because both of you are in the same boat. What makes you think Ohio State should be worse than 6?
I was going to let you go first.
Go ahead. No. You guys go.
Okay. Stu, you want to go?
I'll say this real quick. I don't know if I'm on the exact same side as Dak. So my thoughts going into today were I think I woke up this morning with the initial thought that Ohio State was going to be behind Bama and behind Texas, just like based on like what I was seeing on Twitter, what I was hearing other people say. And then like this morning I heard a couple of takes like, oh no, like kind of what you were saying, Kreitz, Ohio State, like why would they drop that far? Like you lose to what we all think is probably one of the best teams in the country right now in Michigan at home in their place. And I'll say this about Ohio State too. Shout out Michael, like we were saying earlier. They were driving at the very end of the game and like
won the game.
So some people say, oh, they were driving, should have won the game, like should have, would have, could have. Michigan won the game. That's what happened.
They didn't win the game, and they weren't winning at any point in the game. They lost.
But Ohio State, they're 2 turnovers away from that game, probably looking a little bit different than what it was looking at the end. I will say too, Michigan, they could have went for it on 4th down, potentially got the first down and just ended the game right there before they gave the ball, or kicked the field goal, gave the ball back to Ohio State. But, you know, like Michigan won, Ohio State, they fought. They looked a lot better than they did the last 2 years against Michigan, so you got to give them that at the end of the day too.
It was a great game. It was a great game.
So I'm not shocked they're at 6. I do think I think Texas and Bama, they have the argument also to be up there. I mean, I think like there's an argument to be made for sure. So I can see why some people are upset. There were definitely some people on the show tonight that were upset. I think it was like McElroy and then Joey Galloway. They were going at it a little bit too.
You want me to go? If you want me to go, I'll go.
No.
As I said.
Okay. I'll preface it first by saying this. Number one, I completely understand where you're coming from. Like if we
hash it out, we get where we're on both sides.
I understood it from the start, but I understand where you're coming from. You're sitting there, you're the number 2 team in the country,
right? And
you lose to the number 3 team in the country.
Right.
Let's say it's my boys Washington. Okay, Washington's 2, Oregon is 3. Washington loses. I'd be sitting there being like, I can't drop them that much. Like, how much are you going to drop them? Granted, if it was Washington, they probably would have done it. Okay, but I'd be sitting there saying the exact same thing. So you're number 2, you lose on the road to your rival in a 6-point game by, like you said, 30 yards, dropping them from 2 to 6. That's a pretty significant drop. Fine. I can't blame you. And also, whatever happens this weekend, they don't get to play. Bama, Texas, they get to play. They kind of decide their own destiny. So I 100% understand it. You keep saying more about the resume and the body of work, and you look at strength of schedule. Ohio State does have 2 pretty significant wins. They beat Penn State at home. Granted, I will say they won that game 20-12, right. And with 4 minutes left, they were only up by 6 or 7 points, I think. And I would be very surprised if you specifically, even after that game, watching Ohio State versus Penn State, walked away being like, Ohio State looks like a pretty good football team. They did not look very good in that game. Ohio State versus Notre Dame, which is another very big win for them, a significant one because that's their only other ranked win at the moment. They won on the very last play of the game. I remember Ohio State and Ryan Day specifically got clowned for it after. Don't get me wrong, Notre Dame has had a good year, but I think Notre Dame's best win is against Duke. Still a ranked team. Like you said, there's only 25 ranked teams. There can only be so many good teams in college football. It's not that deep this year. I don't think Ohio State in any of their wins has looked incredible and necessarily looked better than what Bama down the stretch has looked. Texas has looked a little bit shaky. But I think now that Quinn Ewers is fully healthy, it's flipped back to how Texas looked at the start of the year. And I think that's very much worth mentioning is Quinn Ewers was not healthy. The close game against TCU, clearly he came back, I believe, tried to come back a week earlier. But now that he's 100% healthy, they've looked a little bit better. But Ohio State, they played, I think it was a 7-point game going in with 5 minutes left against Rutgers. It was a 6-point game with about 4 minutes left against Wisconsin. And so, like, yes, they ended up winning those games by 14, 20 points. But if you look at the whole resume, and those do look like solid 2-3 score wins, the entire game, it was a lot closer. Where if you look at Bama, yes, they struggled. It was week 2 when they lost to Texas. Is that right? They lost to them at home. Mm-hmm. And then the very next week, Jalen Milroe got benched, and they looked god-awful against USF. That's rock bottom for them, 100% rock bottom. Ever since that, the very next week, everything switched. Alabama's been a 100% completely different team. They smoked Ole Miss, who is a good football team. Might not have the best defense, but they are a very good football team. They smoked Tennessee. They looked very good against Texas A&M. I get it. Texas A&M and Tennessee are not awesome football teams, okay? But Bama, that's when Bama started getting a lot better. They beat Kentucky, who just beat Louisville by 30 points. LSU, I love LSU. They worked them, and I've said all year LSU's defense is not good. Alabama still easily took care of business, and then they went and they played the rival in Auburn. It's a bad game. Alabama definitely looked bad, and if they had beaten them by more, maybe Texas and Alabama both jump Ohio State. You might be right on that. Like that might be the case. If Alabama had gone in there, they'd won by 30 points. It might be completely different. But I just think at this point, in terms of how you look at it, I get it. It's a 12-point or it's a 12-game season, but you look at it the last 7 or 8 weeks when teams really get going. I think Alabama has looked a lot better than Ohio State. And also the Ohio State-Michigan game, even when Michigan was pure penis, that game was a 6-point game. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, Michigan was the worst football team I've ever seen in my life, and that was a 6-point game. I'm pretty sure we kept it close when it was Sheridan at quarterback. And so it is different now that it's 2 versus 3, but that game is going to be a 1-possession, 1-score game regardless. And I just think they're putting a lot of stock into a nice-looking loss and not as much stock into some solid wins that both Alabama has, because they looked a lot better in their big wins, and then Texas beat Alabama, was a top 10 team, and they beat them on the road. So I don't know. I get it. I see why Ohio State is at 6. They probably shouldn't drop them 6 spots. That seems ridiculous. But me personally, I would recommend Texas and Alabama.
Well,
yeah, no.
One thing I just want to say real quick before you go in, Kreitz, I also think Texas, with their game they have this weekend, and Alabama too, like, obviously they win their games this weekend. They're probably going to jump Ohio State.
100%. That's my argument. Like that's what I'm getting to here is they're going to put them at 6 because, listen, the games that Texas and Bama lost, they were favored to win it. Oklahoma, Texas was favored to win that game. Bama, they were favored to win that game against Texas at home, and they lost by 10. So, like, that's really my argument about this, just plain simple. Ohio State goes into Michigan, favored to lose by 3.5 at the Big House, and they lose by 6, whatever. It doesn't matter about the 6. They had a chance to go win that game. They were, 35 yards away from scoring a touchdown and winning by 1, and then we were talking a whole different outlook of what the playoffs are. So it was achievable for Ohio State. These are 2 really good teams. But the thing is, for me, is like what you just brought up, Stu. Those teams, the remaining 7, every single one of them has a chance to legitimately go in and punch their ticket into the playoffs. And that's what it is for me. It's like, how far are you going to really take Ohio State? I get what you're saying, Dak, for sure. Like, we do meet at a ground here where I get it. But you can't just say, oh, well, Ohio State's, they lost. They're not playing a conference championship. They lost to Michigan. They haven't been great for Ohio State standards. Yeah, Kyle McCord isn't, what Justin Fields was there, what even CJ Stroud was there, even when he couldn't beat Michigan. Like, that's not the case. Like, yeah, he's not amazing. The defense is still good. There's a standard we have for Ohio State because they are the elite team of the Big Ten. Michigan's turned the tides as of this year officially, I'd say. They are the team to beat in the Big Ten. Not even after last year. You can say they were sick in 2021 if you want, Ryan Day. You can say we were stealing your signs there last year. Sure, Ryan Day. This year, what do you have to say? You lost an assistant coach. Sorry to hate to break it to you, but you lost plain and simple. And you were losing the whole game. You tied it up once. You could have won the game, but you didn't. You threw a pick at the end. You got banged up. That's just what it was. And so Ohio State's one loss is to a team they are favored to lose to. And everybody else from 8 on, besides them at 6, has a chance to bounce over them. That refers to Texas, Bama, everybody. Like, so I think the Pac-12 champion gets in, probably as a 3 seed. It almost feels like they're slotted as a 3 seed. That's if Georgia and Michigan both win. Who knows if Georgia's going to win that game? I feel a lot better about Michigan winning against Iowa. They're 23.5-point favorite. Like, that's going to be really tough for Iowa to win that game. I don't know how they're going to score on Michigan because they can't score in general, let alone against one of the best defenses in the country. But my whole thing about Ohio State was, and why I even said 5, I'm glad Oregon is at 5. I think Oregon deserves to be 5. But why I said that on air is, like, that loss is not that bad. Everybody else is going to get a chance to prove themselves. And what you brought up before, it's like, yeah, okay, they're not playing like we have. Like, I think we're biased with Ohio State because we've seen them be dominant in the Big Ten for it all. But what is their worst? What is their closest game they've had besides the close game against Notre Dame? That was, I don't know what the spread was exactly.
3 points, yeah.
Yeah, that was close, and it was on the road, and Notre Dame still was at 17. I just read off right there. And then Michigan, they weren't even favored to win. The closest game besides that is what, Wisconsin?
Wisconsin was 14
points.
Yeah.
You got Texas, and I'm just bringing this up, and I'm done after this. Texas goes to Fort Worth and barely wins by 3 points against TCU, and TCU sucks ass. Let's call it how it is. They're not the same TCU.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have they don't have the same players they did last year. Half of them, a good amount of them went to the draft, and even Bama just almost hope and a prayer that they won that game on 4th and 31 or whatever the hell it was. And that's a Bama team, Auburn team referring to that they just beat, that just lost to fucking, whatever. I don't give a shit.
Garbage.
To fucking
garbage.
Legitimately New Mexico State at home by 3 scores. So it's like, dog, I don't, this Alabama team is not the old Alabama. Now, if they beat Georgia, they should punch their ticket in. I think they're in regardless. But that's because they're playing the number 1 team in the country at a neutral site. So that's my whole thing. The only way Ohio State gets in, and this is your point, Dak, and I actually think it is true. There is a way Ohio State would get in. FSU loses, right?
Yep.
Texas would have to lose.
Yep.
And then Georgia, is that what we're saying? Or what way? Georgia win?
I think if
Georgia
loses.
I think even if Georgia loses.
No.
Oh, it would be if Washington beats Oregon.
No. I think so. If Georgia wins, Michigan
Texas
wins.
has to lose. Georgia.
Yeah, that's what it was. It would have to be an undefeated Georgia, an undefeated Michigan, an undefeated Washington, and then Texas would have to lose, and FSU would have to lose to bounce them. Because then you got Texas out of there, you got Oregon out of there, and then that's what, and FSU's out of there. So that's how
what
they
it would
get
have
in.
to be.
That is the only equation for Ohio State, which is actually pretty possible.
It's really
I've seen this in my nightmare.
They just need FSU. So here's what I'm getting at too is like if you only bounce them to 6, you're essentially being like, okay, that loss actually wasn't that bad. We still really like your resume. You're a top team. I think we're to the point where Washington wouldn't have to go undefeated. I think they would just need an FSU loss and they would need a Texas loss. And if Oregon beat Washington, I have the feeling just how you guys did, how you thought they would leave Ohio State at 5 or 6. I mean, you think they would leave them at 5. If Washington loses, it would be Georgia at 1, Michigan at 2. They put Oregon at 3, and they would put Ohio State in there at 4 over Washington.
If Texas does lose to Oklahoma State,
that's if Texas loses.
And that's a big if. I mean, they're 14.5 point favorite.
Brandon, actually, I mean, I'll mini walk that back a little bit because they did with TCU. They did it last year. How TCU was 12-0. They had to go play in the Big 12 championship game. They lost in the Big 12 championship game, but they still got in there. They were the 3 seed, right? Mm-hmm. At 12-1, but Ohio State still snuck in because it wasn't as deep. Now there's already a Pac-12 team in there, and they would love to have Michigan, Ohio State in there again. I think putting them at my thing about 6 is putting them at 6 leaves the door open to where they can jump a Washington and where they can.
Washington bad games, plain and
simple. They've had bad games.
For a 9.5 point dog to a team they already beat.
They've had they've had bad games. I think it also
Washington State this weekend.
I think it also sneaky leaves the door open for them to jump Georgia in a scenario where Georgia loses to Alabama as well. I also think that's a little crazy to me. Like I think that's
really interesting.
But I think it leaves the door open. Like it's a conversation that will be had.
Well, you're talking Oregon and Ohio State both with 1 loss. Now I kind of see what Kreitz is saying about having Ohio State at 5 because if Washington ends up losing to Oregon next week and we're still debating Oregon and Ohio State, Washington then has a loss to Oregon, and Washington, I don't know if a loss to Washington is a better loss than a loss to Michigan. I mean, it's not. But
they won the Pac-12. Are you talking about Oregon?
I understand, but still,
Are you talking about who gets in, Oregon or Ohio State?
Yeah, and it's Oregon wins the Pac-12.
This is why I hate it.
But it's the one loss.
I think Oregon would get the nod because they avenged the one loss.
They avenged the one loss.
And that's why they're at 5. And that's why they're at 5. And I'm glad the committee put them at 5. They have a chance to avenge their loss. They lost on a field goal. They could have beat Washington in Seattle. I think Oregon has the nod over Ohio State and
Texas.
Oregon's
in a good spot right now. They're
win and you're in.
Well, because Stu, what you were talking about is exactly what I was getting at, where Oregon would have beat the number 3 team in the country, and all you're saying is, well, Ohio State's got a better loss than what Oregon has. It's like you got to put a little more stock in the wins. You got to put, you know what I mean? You got to put.
But
a little more stock
I think Michigan is a lot better of a team than Washington. I do think Washington Washington's really good.
Yeah.
I think Michigan's defense is so much better than their defense, though.
What's Michigan's closest game other than Ohio State and Penn State, the two real teams they had? I mean, they played they played the School of the Blind.
Oh, Maryland.
Maryland was close. Maryland was an obvious game. That was
their last 3 games were all close. Yeah.
Well, they beat Penn State by 2 scores on the road. That's impressive.
Yeah, it was 24-10. What was the score? 24-10.
Yeah.
I mean, Michigan debatably be the 2 best defenses in the country besides their own.
Wait, what's it? I gotta close my window. I left it.
You're good. You're good.
It's ice cold, man.
Yeah, like,
you're good.
I was like,
let alone 2
my
top
hands. I was like, I need gloves.
Damn it! Oral Roberts lost in overtime.
Oh damn, Kansas State.
Okay, last thing that I want to say too is like, and this is I don't even know. Because this is kind of a stupid take, but if you go with just the Ohio State is sitting there at 6 because of their resume, they obviously have a very good loss. They have 2 pretty solid wins that they've taken care of everybody else on their schedule. So if you look at the whole body of work, you look at the entire resume. Let's say Alabama loses. If Alabama loses, they're not going to drop. So I guess they'll probably still be at 8. So Texas will have a win over number 8 Alabama. They will have a double overtime win against Kansas State, who's sitting at 25. And then they will have beaten Oklahoma State, who's sitting at 18, will be 9-4 at that point, and does not have a lot of great wins. Now, if you look at that entire body of work,
and Kansas, and just to throw them in there, I think they were ranked.
Yeah, I agree. They were 24.
There's a few.
So if you go
is Ohio State in over Texas though?
That's what I'm saying. So that's why I said I almost don't want to say the take because they wouldn't do that. Texas won the Big 12. They put them in. It doesn't matter.
That Bama win's going to get.
But if you go with the Ohio State is sitting here at 6 because of their resume, then it's like how much does an Oklahoma State win add to Texas body of work and their entire resume compared to what Ohio State did? Because then it's still like, oh, it's neck and neck. You can pick either. Who's the better team?
Yeah,
I think it kind of
that's the only reason I don't love they're sitting at 6 because.
But if they get a win over another ranked opponent, which Ohio State only has so many of, like every team in college football, exactly, like that's going to help. Yeah. A team that beat Oklahoma, it's their only losses to Oklahoma at a neutral site.
Yep.
Go ahead.
No, I agree. No, you're good. And I agree. Like, I think, like, if I had to choose, I would say Texas. But I'm just
and they would choose Texas. They would choose Texas.
Yeah, it is.
They would choose Texas.
Yeah.
It's just them putting Ohio State up there ahead of Texas and Alabama. That's
why I hate it. That's the only reason why it bothers me. That's the only.
And I'm with you. No, I am with you there. But Texas has the opportunity to jump them, just as Bama does against number 1 Georgia. It's way harder for them to get in. But the fact that Texas beat, and the reason why Bama's at 8, let's call it how it is, there's a roadblock in front of them, and it is Texas. Mm-hmm. You lose by 10 in Tuscaloosa to Texas, week 2, that's going to roadblock you. There's no movement. If Alabama, and I said this, beats the living brakes off of Auburn, which they did not do, obviously, now maybe we could probably push Ohio State back because look at what Texas did to Texas Tech. But again, Texas had games that were close. Same with Bama throughout the season. The FSU game was that shouldn't happen. The TCU game should not have happened. But listen, with Texas in the Big 12, it was a competitive Big 12. Sonny Dykes was 3-0 against Texas in general. Even at Cali, beat him twice. And like you're on the road. It's the last time you're going to play TCU for years, and you're getting Quinn off an injury. Like whatever. They showed in Ames. They won by 10 and covered that. I think they went 7-5 this year. It's not a bad team in the Big 12. And then they just beat Texas Tech. They beat the hell out of them and avenged that loss to last year. I think Texas would get in. The way Texas gets in, I think, is just if FSU loses. Am I wrong?
Texas?
No, they're in if they lose. Yep.
Well, I'm thinking like, what if FSU loses, and then what if Texas plays like an extremely close game with Oklahoma State, where like they don't.
I still think
a Big 12 championship gives you that.
A Big 12 championship.
I think it does too, but I'm just saying, like the committee. I'm just like I don't know.
That's a good question.
Yeah, their eye test. You know what I mean?
And that's so honestly, that's my. We'll go back to the number 1 original point. You texted and you said, "Why are you guys so mad?"
I was like, "What's going on?"
This is the exact reason why I'm mad. If Texas wins the Big 12, there shouldn't even be a conversation. They should be in. They should jump them. We're good to go. Who cares? Like, let them. Same with even if Georgia loses. If Georgia loses, I'm sorry, they should be in. They should go.
Yes.
Who cares? Don't put them in over Ohio State. But leaving them at 6, you even brought up Oregon. What if Oregon wins? What do you do there? They'd be in 100%.
Oregon's already. We've seen the whole time they're ahead of Texas.
And you brought it up.
Oregon's winning.
You brought it up. You're like, Ohio State is a massive name, and I know, I get it, I understand.
Bro, let's talk what this is. It's about money.
Yes, and they get people talking.
Let's not joke around.
I'm an asshole. I'm going to talk about it all day. I'm gonna get pissed about it. That's why they do it. They know how it's gonna play. They don't care, and that's why I'm so mad. It's because they put them there for a reason, so they stay in the goddamn conversation. And I just want them at 8, and I want them. I just want them out right now.
But I agree. I agree with that point. But again, can you really fault a team who was favored to lose?
I know. Yes, I know.
Michigan was only 3. The only reason Michigan's been 3. Michigan, and maybe I'm wearing the Michigan hat. I'm a fan, obviously biased. Michigan, you could debate's been the best team in college football this year. Sign stealing aside, whatever. Georgia has been kind of underwhelming for Georgia's standards, considering they haven't lost in 3 fucking years.
Yeah, they're just
coasting. They're just coasting. Exactly.
Yeah.
Nice. You beat Joe Milton.
They don't care.
You struggled against Missouri, your team that you actually think is good. That's the best team they've played.
I think you could easily say Michigan would be undefeated, most likely, with Georgia's schedule also this season.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I don't think any team on exactly Georgia's schedule would Missouri would be probably the biggest problem for them. Ole Miss would be
good. Yeah.
But the defense
what if Georgia didn't have to play Penn State and Ohio State? They would probably give Georgia games,
They're very comparable. Like the SEC, Big Ten, and even the Pac-12 we talked about. There's comparisons. The SEC is not as sexy as it's been before, where it's the LSU's, the Bamas,
Auburn,
Florida's, Auburn's, whoever. No, it's Georgia and an underwhelming Bama this year. Let's call it how it is. They're underwhelming for Bama standards. I mean, we've for the last decade have seen them win multiple championships. That's been the team this past decade. Georgia's now getting the torch passed to them. Clemson's kind of, whatever. Clemson's whatever it was. They had a little run there for 2 years where they won. I mean, they had run for multiple years, but 2 years of winning, whatever. Besides the point. I'm just saying, when it comes down to it, the Ohio State 6 does not shock me. The good thing is, and this is where we all can agree, every single team from Bama on can get ahead of Ohio State.
Yep.
Because Ohio State doesn't have a game to play. They're done. They're sitting on the sidelines at 11-1 because they lost to Michigan and Ann Arbor, and that's plain and simple. So at least we can all agree on that. Do I think they're an amazing team? They're an underwhelming Ohio State for Ohio State standards, who's been the top 10. They're the top tier of the Big Ten. But this year is the year you go, okay, well, even with the sign stealing and whatever you want to say controversial, the controversy with it, it's they just won without Jim Harbaugh. They won with an assistant coach. Yes, they could have won the game with a touchdown, but they didn't. Plain and simple. So it's but it is a good debate. I hear what you're saying completely, Dak. It's all fair.
So
it's just for the time being after week 13, that I don't know how you could throw them down to 8. I don't. With the way
I get it,
Texas has played games and Bama. That's all.
I agree. And last thing, but like I said, this isn't even an Ohio State thing. Nothing against Ohio State, and like you said, they only lost to the number 3 team in the country, and it was by 6 points with 30 yards. I think for me, it's a thing against the committee. I just don't like the committee. I don't know what it is. I think yes, you can leave them at 6, but I swear to God, they leave them at 6 just to spark the conversation and get things churning.
It's got people like us talking like this.
I know. And that's what makes it bad. It honestly has nothing to do with Ohio State. It's more so that, and it is what it is. But.
Okay. No. All right.
I'll say it one more thing before we move on real quick. This is all I have to say.
Oh,
yeah.
How?
All right.
Sorry about that. And sorry to Michael. All right. I had to get that.
Hey, Michael.
Listen, man. It's been years. We need this.
Yeah, Mike. I appreciate it.
It's our time. Sorry.
I hope you made it.
Boss.
Made it. So actually, I'm predicting the future right now. I'm gonna text you tomorrow. You're gonna receive a text from me, and it's gonna be like, "Hey, man, sorry, I'm not totally ripping Ohio State. Just get through it." And you'll get to the good parts. Don't worry. So I hope you're still listening here. A little shout out.
Listen, hey, your team still has life in the playoffs too, because like you said, Dak, you brought up a point. If FSU loses,
they haven't
Texas loses, And then I'd say if Oregon loses, you got an undefeated Georgia, an undefeated Michigan, and then an undefeated Washington. That 4 spots open for them to jump in. Am I right? Yeah, I think so. I think that's how that would happen.
Do you guys remember what happened last year? Because they got bumped down to 5, right? And TCU was. Do you remember who lost that got them in last year?
Was it Bama?
No, Bama was already 10-2, and LSU was already 9-3. LSU was already 9-3 because they lost to A&M the last week of the season. Because LSU was sitting there at 5 for a while.
TCU was undefeated. They did lose to Kansas State in that Big 12 championship,
and then they
still get in.
They stayed at 3.
You know who it was? You know who it was? USC losing to Utah.
USC losing to Utah. You're right, Stu. Yep, it was. Totally. Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah, that was USC was supposed to make it, and then they lose to Utah. That's why I agree with you also, Stu. I think that's going to be the top tier of the Big 12 for 2024 going on. All right, let's give our champions here for all these conference champions. Let's give some love to some of these lower teams. No hate to the lower teams. I got yeah, exactly. Thank you, Stu, for throwing that up.
Two little
yeah.
ones.
Liberty undefeated. Shout out Liberty. Go Flames, go. They are playing against New Mexico State. I hope they get in a New Year's Six bowl. I don't know if that's really too possible for them. That'd be amazing to see that, especially if Tulane would lose to SMU. Yeah. I think they would be the non-conference, non-Power 5 conference team.
If Tulane loses, they for sure.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I mean, it has to be. So the 10.5 there. It's a home game for Liberty. I got Liberty there. Moving on to the next game. You guys got Liberty?
I'm gonna go Liberty.
Yeah, I'm going Liberty. Yeah. Okay. Wait, are we going just picking the winner?
Just pick the winner. Let's just do a pick the winner, actually.
I agree. Let's go Liberty.
I know much about the New Mexico State Aggies? I don't. All I know is they did Auburn, right?
Yeah, I don't know why I asked are we picking the winner. Because I would have picked the spread anyways.
I think that could be frisky for the Flames, man. It could be frisky for the Flames, but
frisky for the Flames. Yeah, New Mexico State has played 13 games. They're 10-3. Strange. Yeah. Tulane, SMU, that is also a home game, and that'll be in New Orleans. They are a 4-point favorite, as Stu's got there. I like Tulane. I watched them actually last week play UTSA. I mentioned that.
That was a good game.
That was a good game. We'll go Tulane there. The only loss being to Ole Miss, so that's an impressive loss.
Going Tulane.
I'm going Tulane as well.
All right, there we go.
Okay.
Oklahoma State, Texas. I don't love the spread, fellas. I think it's gonna be about 30-20. That's what I'm going with here. But I'll go hook 'em.
I like that too. I'm gonna go 30-20, like same as you. I think
around there, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going Texas, but I truly think Texas has turned the corner again, and they're going to start covering again. I've been taking teams to cover against Texas, but Quinn is fully healthy now.
Quinn's back. So, yep.
Exactly. I'm going to take Texas to cover here. If I can get 13.5, I'll do 13.5.
You don't think Ollie Gordon's putting up a fight, Dak?
I was going to say.
See, that's the one thing I will say about Texas is with Sweat and those big boys up front, they are very good at stopping the run. That is their specialty on defense. So
Ollie Gordon is a bit of a dog.
Just say this: he's a bit of a dog. I'll say that was all right. I'll say this about Texas D-line too, like you were saying, Craig. I think it would be cool to see Texas in the playoff just because I think their trenches, they're built for it. I think they're built to be on.
They got the guys. They got the roster.
I want to see Texas in the playoffs, man. It'd be fun.
They got the team, like, talent and roster-wise to go against, like, Michigan, Georgia.
That'd be a great 4 seed to play Georgia. That would be fun.
I was going to say Georgia, Texas would be awesome.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. Moving on now, we got Florida State in the ACC Championship against Louisville. 2.5 for FSU. Louisville did lose to Kentucky. This is a team that's really overachieved. Let's call it out as they had a very meek and weak schedule. They haven't played anyone really, no offense to Louisville. But they had a really good year, even though they lose to Kentucky. You guys got Louisville or FSU here. This is tough.
Here's what sucks. When I looked at this, I was like, oh, FSU. But that goes against everything I've been saying for the entire all the conversations we've had for the last 2 weeks. It goes against every single one of them. So I'm gonna pick Louisville, but I don't feel good about it. Not even a smidge good about it. But that's who I'm going.
Right.
I'm going Cardinals, and I feel great about it. I'm going
really
on this. Yep, I'm riding all day with the Cardinals. We've been on them since we started the show, or at least I have. And I'm not about to turn around now, so I'm rocking with them.
We ride or die together, fellas. Ride together, die together. Better boys for life. Going Louisville.
And we should.
Going Louisville.
No, we should bet on them. We should.
I know it's sad. Jordan Travis is out for Florida State fans. Whatever. Their resume sucks.
It's so
Their best
bad.
win is against, as I've said, and I love LSU. That's my second
the best
team.
one.
The Swiss cheese defense LSU in Orlando. It wasn't even a real true neutral site game.
No, it was at home.
Game.
It was in Florida.
LSU fans travel well, so
and it's fine. But whatever, you know what I'm saying. I mean, whatever.
They have the worst defense in college football, that's just a fact.
No, all
in
right.
Power 5, they honestly might.
All right.
It's pretty grim.
Okay, Michigan State would be in there. George, what do you got next? Okay, you got Washington plus 9.5. What the hell is this?
I don't know.
What the hell is this?
Washington money line. Sorry, Ocampo. I'm going.
Washington
money line. I'm going. I've been riding with them all year. I get it. Some of these smaller games, Arizona State, and Stanford, and Washington. I get it. They don't look very good, but at the end of the day,
they don't look good right now.
I know.
And I like watching them win the Pac-12. I get it. At the beginning of the year, I did.
I get it. But in the small games and the big games, they play up to comp. They play down to comp. Kind of like the old school Detroit Tigers. All right, I'll compare them to them. I don't care. Wow. And that's what they used to do. Play up to the comp, play down to the comp.
I like it.
Yeah. But they play the same no matter what. And so they're getting 9.5. It makes absolutely no sense to me. I think they're going to go in. They'll take care of business. It's going to be 3 points. That's just what it is. 3 to 5 points. But that team is still talented. And I think the defense is underrated. Oregon's defense is getting hyped up a little bit. Give me the Huskies.
All right. I like it. Stu, what you got?
All right. I'm going to go Huskies to cover.
Fair.
But Oregon money line. I'm rolling with Mr. Kreitz and Kreitz on this one. I'm going with the Ducks to 12.
Betting man, which I am going to also go with the Huskies here. I think that's a very fat line, but we'll go with shout out Silas Bosman, shout out David Ocampo, shout out my dad as well. I had him last week. I think Oregon's going to punch their ticket to the playoffs. It's cool to see this because Michigan, as a Michigan fan, getting them in the Big Ten, both these guys are going to be playing against Michigan next year. We go out to Washington and then we go out to Washington and then Oregon comes to us. It'll be great for the Big Ten. When you're competing with the SEC, Dax, obviously you pulled off the banner before. I don't know why you didn't. You should just wore it.
I thought I left it. I don't know.
The SEC lover's gone, but no, I those additions for the Big Ten specifically. You're getting Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC next year. It's great to have those kind of new, fast, good brand teams to beat the shit out of Iowa and teams like that have no business being in the Big Ten championship. I don't know if that's the next game. Maybe that
teams that throw the football. It's pretty crazy.
The next one's Michigan, Iowa. I was going to say too.
There you go. Teed it up.
It's going to be interesting next season to see Big Ten SEC what ends up being the better conference.
That'll be interesting. It will. And then we got Michigan obviously in Indianapolis. Oh, Dakota didn't like that. Didn't like that take there. I could tell about the Big Ten. Well, I don't know.
It's just we do it every year, you know.
I will say I'm a Big Ten backer, but they added more ammo than the SEC. Now the SEC I'd say is. I don't want to. As of our lifetime, has a better.
I know, and
we've only had one Big Ten champion.
I don't want
to. It's Ohio State. So
I don't want to. I agree, and
what would you
I don't.
This season, though? What would you say this season? I would go Big Ten this season over SEC. I think.
Are you crazy? Do we need to do the list?
No, I wouldn't do it, Stu, because there's only one realistic in my. There could be two SEC teams in it, and there can't be two Big Ten teams in it. I know there was two Big Ten. It's a good debate.
I'm talking top to bottom. Top to bottom is what I'm thinking.
Top to bottom.
I'd have to look at,
Georgia,
Illinois' record. I don't know.
Dog. Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Ole Miss. You could say Tennessee. Oh, I miss Mizzou. Those are my boys. Mizzou. That's
top five. I'm going SEC. Top five. I'd go SEC.
We got to the
top five. Top five. I go SEC.
I'd say even top six.
Whatever. All right. Just take the top five. I don't know what we're doing.
Top five. Whatever. Yeah. This is too much.
Top two is a good debate. Top 2
How
is a
about
good debate.
We'll get into the new conferences in the offseason.
We got more to work with.
I think after like LSU, it's very overrated in the SEC. I do think at the top it's pretty interesting, but like I think dude, I think Northwestern would beat a lot of SEC teams. I'm not gonna lie. Keeping it a buck.
Yeah.
Let's continue. I'm not. I will.
Of all
I
the
will
teams,
not.
too, I put money on them. Northwestern.
Northwestern.
It's pure athlete. It's just pure athletes. A majority of SEC teams
right,
make Northwestern look like Saline Middle School. Like that's what they would look like.
We'll see come bowl season, Dak. You're disrespecting the Big Ten Coach of the Year right there, man.
I'm sorry. That's my bad.
They won 7 games. Shout out Northwestern. They smacked the total win way up. I think it was probably when Fitzpatrick got fired, probably like 3 wins. So good for them winning 7 games. They've won me money. I can't hate on it. They beat Arkansas. They'd probably beat Arkansas. I'd give them that.
They could beat Vandy. I'd give them a good chance.
Yeah. Is that it, Stu? Are we done with the games here? I think I had. Yeah. App State.
Oh wait, Michigan, Iowa.
We got Michigan.
Can I have a hot take?
30-3. I got Michigan covering and winning. I'll just give it out there right now. 30-3. Go Blue.
I'm going a little bit different. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say 35-5. And listen to this.
That sounds about right. No, I saw that off.
Listen to this. I have two things I think is going to happen. Number one, Iowa is going to start the game winning 2-0. They're going to get some sort of, their special teams is awesome. They're going to get some sort of weird safety. And then Michigan is going to absolutely shit pump them. And they're going to go up 35-2, probably in the first half. And then Iowa, there's a bet that you can take that says Michigan first half, Iowa second half, plus 5,500. Iowa's going to win the second half 3-0 because not a single player on Michigan's roster is even going to be playing football anymore.
Yeah.
And so Iowa will kick a very sad field goal late in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And those are my 2 bold takes.
Well, Kirk Ferentz need that for my namesake kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Michigan wins like 30-something, like 36 or something to 7. I think Iowa gets a pick 6 on JJ.
Wow. Okay. We got a little pick 6 on JJ.
Yeah.
Only one that we've only missed, like I said, a couple here. App State at 8-4 taking on Troy. Troy they're playing a home game as well. That'll be 6.5 for Troy. They're 10-2. App State at 8-4. Boise State and UNLV, one of Michigan's better wins on their resume. Michigan deserves it. We joke about it, but they beat Ohio State. They deserve to be in the playoffs here. They've whopped everybody. But UNLV is +2. They're 9-3 against Boise State, 7-5. That'll be in Vegas. And lastly, of course, little Maction. Can't forget about the Maction. Miami of Ohio. Shout out Brooks, Miami of Ohio right there.
Shout out Brooks.
The Redhawks, yes, at 10-2. They are taking on Toledo. Didn't get Toledo's. I think they might be 10-2 as well. Shout out Sammy. -7.5 for the Rockets. That's in Ford Field, Detroit, Michigan. And that'll end it for us, guys.
Wait. Georgia, Bama.
Georgia, Bama of the last chance. Yeah, how do we know? How did I miss that?
I don't know.
Thought we had
That's the biggest one.
Goes without saying.
Georgia, Bama 12-0. That's referring to Georgia. And then Bama at 11-1. And we got Georgia 5.5. What do we like here, guys?
We'll let you take this SEC lover. You can rip this one.
SEC lover has it first, yes.
All right. So
you gave it yourself. I don't even like why you're even giving us a look. Like
I know because just
self-proclaimed. Like
all right. Before we get into this, when you and I were talking on the phone, and you asked me, you're like, oh, so you think every team sucks? Is there any teams that you think are good?
Like, yeah. What do you think? Yeah.
I was going through it in my head. I was like, that's a lot of SEC teams. So I went the route of like, I just really like offense. And then I was like, all right, yeah, SEC lover, whatever. But it backs itself up usually. So it's okay. I'll stand by it. Anyways, I feel like for the last 4 or 5 weeks, I've kind of been sitting here being like, Bama is back. And I think they can beat Georgia in the SEC championship game. They could both end up getting in. That Auburn game, it was a rivalry game. It was on the road.
God.
you know what? Throw the score aside, 27-24. Who cares? What killed it for me, Jalen Milroe sprinting off the sideline. He was screaming something like, "Someone come bring me my Heisman." Or he's like, who said Heisman? Talk about me for Heisman. I don't know what turd.
Dog.
No, yeah, like you're not going.
Sorry, dog, ain't gonna happen.
Sorry, yeah, like he's not even gonna go to New York.
I had a little benched week 3. No.
I know. No. I had a little faith in Milroe until then. Now
he's good. He's a good player. Like he'll be good there. But he's not a Heisman candidate. No.
See, he's coming back next year, right? He's coming back next year
for sure.
Well, I get the feeling. Yeah, but I get the feeling
it's sophomore, right?
Sophomore.
Either sophomore or junior.
Might be. He'll be back next year for sure.
Regardless, I get the feeling that it's kind of like Blake Sims or Jake Coker, where it's like Bama has those one-off years where they just have one guy start first season. I think Bama's looking for somebody else if they can. Yeah. Doesn't matter. That didn't give me a lot of confidence. I feel like he's going to get rocked once and fumble. He's going to throw probably 1 or 2 bad picks. Georgia, I get they didn't look great against Georgia Tech. They didn't even play Brock Bowers. I'm pretty sure he's healthy.
Yeah, I didn't see him.
No, he didn't play. They sat him. He didn't dress.
Why play him? You know.
Exactly. And so, like I said, Georgia's been coasting. I wanted to pick Bama. I'm going Georgia.
I'm going Georgia too. Yeah. I mean, I wanted Bama's fun.
Actually, wait, no, timeout. Fuck it. I'm going Bama. I'm sorry. I'm going Bama. Yeah, I'm going Bama. No, never mind.
I was gonna say that doesn't line up with your 4 because you had
Bama. That's it. I know.
Yeah. All right.
I was gonna ask if we want to change our 4. It's obviously doable here. I mean, a lot of things have happened, so
I'm gonna rock with mine.
I'm gonna stick with my 4 as Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, Texas.
I gotta change mine because it doesn't align with my picks. I had Washington in my 4. I got to change it. So I got to add.
You want to change? Yeah, you're allowed to change. You can pivot here.
So I'm going Georgia then. I'm Georgia, Michigan. Who would 3 be then? 3 would be Oregon.
Probably Pac-12 champ, yeah.
It'd be Oregon.
3 would be Oregon. And then 4.
In Texas.
Damn, yeah. I'm going to have to go Texas.
So that's what.
Welcome to the club.
No, I also want to change my 4. And I kind of want to go. Even with Bama winning, Texas is going to get in, but also a small part in the back. Like, because I'm like, oh, Texas is for sure winning. They're going to get in somehow. A small voice in the back of my head is like, Florida State's going to win their stupid-ass game.
But we're riding the cards, I thought. We are.
The
cards house.
You're right. All right. I'm going Michigan is 1 because Bama's winning, which is – I hate all my picks. I suck. Michigan 1. I'm going – I guess Washington's 2. Okay. What am I doing? I'm going Alabama's 3. And then
Georgia 4.
That's what I had. That's what I had originally. The more I think about it, they'd probably do Texas at 4. Over Georgia. Yeah. I know that's
because that Bama win against Georgia gives more credit to Texas winning on the road.
Texas. Yeah, exactly.
I agree.
Exactly. So that's where it's like,
and that's why I told you guys. I think if Georgia loses, they might be out. I mean, there's a good shot they'll be out.
I know, which is crazy.
Depending on what happens, but yeah, I mean, I'll get to this.
That's happened. Hey, that's happened to Bama before, though.
Like I was saying too, I think it all comes down to again like how Texas looks in their game against Oklahoma State.
Yeah. If they cover, if they can win by 2 touchdowns or more, I think they're in. If it's close, then maybe it's debatable because they've had close games. TCU, Kansas State, all that. But and then obviously
healthy Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, healthy Quinn Ewers. That team is just I think it's a playoff team. I'm going to go with my total here for the Georgia-Bama game. I'm going to go with 28-17. I got Georgia Bulldogs winning. I just think they're a better team. I like the story about Bama, rat poison, all that, but they look bad. And maybe that'll help them. That could help them. They could win this game. No question they could win this game. I'm putting that out there. This is not like Georgia's for sure going to win because it's not the same Georgia team we've seen the last 2 years, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Georgia winning by 11 points here. So yeah, that's.
I'll go Bama. I'll go Bama 31. That's such a. I always go 31-28. But I'm going to do it. I'll go Bama 31, Georgia 26. 31-26.
Cool. Okay.
I'm going to go Georgia 31, Bama 21.
Okay.
All right. Can't miss picks here. We'll start off with UDAC Conference Championship week 14. Who you got? Who you can't miss?
Well, first last week I went Mizzou. They were 7.5. That hit. And so 1-0. We didn't put out any other picks. That's on me. But I will say I like the Iowa under. So 2-0. I'm giving myself that.
There you go. Yeah, you're good.
This week, already took a money line, so I'm definitely going spread. I can't miss Washington, 9.5. Give me the Huskies.
Yeah, you like that. Wow.
Yeah, all day, dude. I might even take them straight up money line, a little sprinkle on it.
Yeah. Feeling that.
All right.
What you got?
I was debating.
I'm looking, man. I got a few I like.
I was debating the New Mexico State, especially like they got that extra game under their belt, man. That's an experienced team right there. So I
they got the extra game.
I was debating them with the 10 against Liberty, but I think I'm on audible. I'm gonna go with the Cardinals. I'm going.
Yeah, that's how I was gonna go here. Honestly, yeah, that's a good call. So,
are you going money line or spread?
I'm going money line. I'm gonna take the money line.
Do it, yeah.
I'm gonna say Louisville money line.
I like it. No, I like it. I think Louisville's going to win that game too as well. I'm going to go with, and I called it out. I'm going to keep it going. I'm going to go with Georgia. I'm going to go with the 5.5 Georgia. I think they're just going to win that by more than a touchdown. Plain and simple. I like Georgia in that game in Atlanta. I mean, I'm sure a lot of Bama fans will be there. That doesn't really help or hurt too much. That's a game that's happened a few times in Atlanta already. So, but I do like them. I just think they're a more complete and better team than this Saban Bama-led team. And lastly, of course, the Dax Dog. Dax Dog, take it away, Dak.
So I will first give an honorary mention to Dak's first dog, who I hold closely to my heart, freshman from Arizona, Noah Fafita. He threw for 527 yards. What's
Fig,
up?
Second dog. Fig is the first dog.
No, I'm anti-Fig right now, so no Fafita.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of
anti-Fig right now, too.
No, I love Fig. She just needs
love Fig, but yeah, she smells bad.
Like AIDS.
It doesn't smell good.
Like yeah. I went to go pet her today, and I felt my hands. My hands were greased up after. So I don't know what's going on. Also, this is such a tangent. I got to get off of this. I think she's doing it on purpose. She is snoring so loud. Like, not just on the couch. Like, when I'm trying to go to sleep at night.
She smells so bad.
She smells so bad. That's on me.
Dog, man. Yeah.
No, yeah, she snored so loud. It's getting ridiculous. I woke up in the middle of the night. I had to body check her a little bit. Because it was so loud. Doesn't matter. So, Noah Fafita was Dak's first dog. He threw for 527, 5 scores, only 1 interception. They won like 6 or 7 games in a row to end the season. That's pretty impressive, but he's just honorary. Dak's dog of the week is Ollie Gordon, who rushed for 166 yards.
That's not
it. Who is that? No, that's not it.
Who is that? Are you serious?
No, that's not it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I was like, is that real?
Dude, that was like on ESPN when I searched his name. I mean, it's got his name, bro. It's right down.
No, it does. When you threw that up there, I paused and I wasn't sure if I should keep going because I straight up I was like, "There's no way that's him." I was like, "Wow, it's not him." I was like, "Wait a second." I was like, "I watched him." Like that is there's a key feature missing. That ain't him. Like
I watched him.
Okay, Ollie Gordon.
That was good.
That looks more like it.
Oh man,
have you guys seen Blue Mountain State?
Yeah.
You know when the Boosters kid, it's like season 2 or something like that. The Boosters kid, they dress him up, and he's like Bodie, and they let him go into a game, and he gets rocked. That looks like Bodie. Like he's a Boosters kid, and they're like, yeah, we're letting him dress for the game.
Wow, that was crazy.
Oh, I did not expect that. All right, so Ollie Gordon, he had
field. Sorry.
He had 166 yards. He had 5 touchdowns. He helped. They were down. What'd you say, Christ? They were down 20-6.
24-6 at half. Yeah.
24-6, and second half was legit all him. And so Oklahoma State, they got a history of some nice running back. He almost won Dog of the Week. I think the week that either. Who was maybe it might have been Jane. It might have been Jane Daniels or Jalen Johnson. He had a game where he rushed for like 2 or 3 touchdowns and balled. So Ollie Gordon, props to you in another year with a better Oklahoma State. Maybe you're going to New York, but at least you're Dak's dog. That's all that matters to the folks back home.
Yep. There we go. Well, hell of an episode, boys. We will be back next week, really getting an idea of what the playoffs are going to be. Is that released next week? Is it official? Are you there?
Oh, yeah. I think it's on Sunday. I think they do it on Sunday.
Selection
They do.
Sunday. There we go.
Yeah,
okay,
they do it on.
We
they
might
do it on Sunday.
Yeah, are we still gonna drop on Tuesday or what?
No, let's do.
No. We're about for the fans, for the people.
Yeah,
we will not. There will be no delays. We will be hardworking as we do after all the drops. So
instant reaction.
This is the reaction committee. And
I want to throw this out here too. I'm saving it a little bit. I was gonna come in hot with it this week, but then all the Ohio State stuff happened, so kind of came in more hot with that. I'm going to have at least one very strong take next week. I don't know if you guys are going to agree with it, but it could get a little spicy like this week. We'll see.
Yeah, I would call that a teaser in the industry, Dak. You're ahead of your time. You're ahead of your time. That's a little teaser. Teaser. So
it's gonna get a little
not
hot.
even ask. Exactly. We leave it.
Don't ask. Don't ask. I'm not telling.
What's going on?
You gotta wait.
Than a week.
Don't ask. Don't ask. Yeah,
That's right.
You gotta wait.
Don't ask.